Hello and welcome. From today, we are going to start new series. In this series, we are going to discuss about Docker Compose. We have theory and lots of practical as well. So let's start. Here, I'm going to start with introduction of Docker Compose. Docker Compose is a tool that helps you define and manage multiple container Docker applications. Most of the modern applications that we are using having three-tier architecture. It means they have web tier, which is used to allow access to the users, then application layer, which is kind of middle layer, and then we are storing data in the database tier or in the database server. Now, if you have three-tier web architecture application, it means you have at least 3 containers. Now, if you are using multiple container to run your application, we call it multi-tier applications. Now, if you want to deploy a multi-tier application, you have 2 ways. One, a very normal way, create each and every container individually, and another way is to use Docker Compose. Docker Compose is actually smart way. If you are using Docker Compose, you just need to create one YAML file and it will deploy your application automatically. And as you know that our main aim is DevOps. In the DevOps, we are always looking for automation. We can say that Docker Compose is used to make our container deployment process automatic. If I'm talking about second point, it uses YAML file to configure the application services, networks and volumes, making it easy to run and scale application with multiple containers. Docker Compose is not only used to deploy application, it is used to deploy networks, volumes, everything to run your application. If you are not using Docker Compose, you can deploy application. There is no need to worry about this. But if you are using Docker Compose, your whole process will be very easy. And if you want to do this task repeatedly, anybody can do this even without knowledge of Docker. We can also use Docker Compose if you want to deploy our containers or applications using DevOps tool. Why use Docker Compose? Here, the first use case, simplified configuration. Manage multiple container with single file. You know, in this whole process of learning, we are going to deploy one multi-container application without Docker Compose and then with Docker Compose. When we will start practical, the first practical is all about how we can install multi-container application without Docker Compose. If you are not going to use Docker Compose, you have to set up networking, you have to set up volume, you have to set up each and every container individually. If you are using Docker Compose, you just need to sit back and you need to write one YAML file in which you will define everything. Now to run this application, you just need to run this file and everything will be automatic. If you want to deploy your application again and again, and if you are going without Docker Compose, the whole process will be manual process. Docker Compose will simplify this configuration and you just need to run one file. It is going to set up all your application, including containers, networking, volumes, everything. And that's why the first use case of Docker Compose is to simplify configuration. Another advantage is consistent environment. Let's say that I have one application. I want you to deploy this application in your Docker environment. I do not need to provide you any instructions. I will provide you source code of my application and one Docker Compose YAML file. Once you will get this file and when you will run this file, it will set up whole environment. If you are going to use one file to deploy whole your environment, you will get consistent configuration. If you are going to install everything manually, and if you make just a small mistake, let's say that when you are defining network, bridge network, and if you make mistake to define name of your bridge network, it will create problem, because then after when you are creating any container, it will not match the bridge name, and then there will be the problem. So when we are going for a manual configuration, small mistake can be problematic. Here we are not going to do anything manually. We have one file that we are using to deploy our application in any Docker environment. So we will have consistent environment.
Sorry guys, sorry to disturb you. I know you all are enjoying the session and suddenly it stopped. But if you want full video or if you want full Docker course having 130 plus videos including projects, you can become our community member. Enrollment link is in description. Moreover, we also provide 24/7 support, weekly lifetime live session with Bhavesh Atara, updates and completion certification as well. Still you have any queries regarding it, you can contact me on my personal number. Thank you.